The straps dug into my shoulders as I adjusted the backpack, standing on the wooden deck of the cabin. Through the screen door I could see her, wheelchair positioned near the window, sunlight catching the edges of her ponytail. My sister's voice echoed in my head. "Just meet her, Jorge. She needs medical expertise for the adaptive program." Not a date. Definitely not a date. Except Sophia's tone on the phone had that specific pitch. The one that meant trouble. I knocked. The door swung open before my knuckles left the wood. "You're early." Her voice carried an edge. She rolled backward, making space. "Sophia said you'd help me with the harness fittings, the ones for the climbing wall." Harness fittings. Right. My eyes tracked the setup. Cabin porch, morning light, the faint smell of coffee. She wore a white tank top and black skirt, a beige backpack still strapped across her chest. Practical. The wheelchair's rear wheels showed mud from the trail access. "Jorge Morgan." I kept my hands at my sides. "Pararescue medic. Your sister asked if I could assess whether a paralyzed woman can safely participate in vertical activities without becoming a liability." She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. I know the speech. Everyone gives it. I paused. Watched her hands, steady on the armrests, no tremor, shoulders square. The backpack straps crossed in an X pattern that would interfere with a climbing harness. "Your sister said you're the program coordinator." "Physical therapist, 5 years clinical, 3 years adaptive sports." She tilted her head. "You're wondering why I need you here?" "I'm wondering why you agreed to meet someone Sophia set you up with." The smile turned real. Sharp. "So she did tell you it was a date?" My jaw tightened. I should have known. Sophia had been trying to fix my social life since I'd returned from deployment 6 months ago. Every coffee meetup, every casual group dinner, all setups. This one just happened to involve a woman who clearly had no patience for pity. "She said you needed a medical consult." I met her gaze. "If that's not why I'm here, I can leave." "Don't." The word came fast. She cleared her throat. "I do need the consult. The grant review is in 4 weeks, and the clinic director is trying to prove adaptive climbing is too high risk. If I can't demonstrate medical safety protocols, I lose the funding and the program." There it was, the actual problem. I stepped inside, letting the screen door close behind me. The cabin's interior was stripped down. Wooden beams, stone fireplace, open floor plan. Accessibility ramps led to the kitchen and bedroom areas. The director's name? Dr. Vance Sterling. He wants to reallocate my grant to expand his sports medicine wing. She rolled toward a table covered in paperwork. He's been documenting every minor incident. Last week, a participant scraped their knee during floor transfers. He wrote it up as a critical safety failure. I scanned the documents she handed me. Incident reports, time-stamped photos, witness statements. All technically accurate but framed to maximize alarm. A scraped knee became uncontrolled fall with potential head trauma. A delayed equipment check became negligent supervision. He's building a case. I set the papers down. "You need counter-documentation, proof of protocol compliance. Which is where you come in." She pulled a manila folder from her bag. "I need someone with tactical medical credentials to observe the program, verify safety standards, and provide written testimony that the risks are managed appropriately. You need a witness. I need an expert witness who can't be dismissed as biased." Her eyes locked on mine. "Sophia said you've done mountain rescue in conditions most people can't imagine. If you sign off on those protocols, Sterling can't claim they're insufficient." The logic was sound, but the setup still bothered me. "Why'd your sister frame this as a date?" Harley's smile went brittle. "Because she thinks I've given up on personal connections, that I only focus on work because I'm afraid of being abandoned again. She gestured at the wheelchair. 3 years post-accident. Everyone who promised to stick around found reasons to leave. Friends, boyfriend, even some family. So yes, I keep people at professional distance. It's cleaner. The honesty hit harder than I'd expected. No self-pity, just cold assessment. I don't do dishonesty, I said. If I observe your program, I'll document exactly what I see. If there are real safety gaps, I'll note them. I wouldn't want it any other way. We shook hands. Her grip was firm, calluses on her palms from wheelchair propulsion. The kind of detail you notice when you've spent years assessing patients under stress. The climbing demonstration is week 8, she continued. I need you to observe 3 training sessions before then. Weekends work best. The adaptive group meets Saturdays. I'm off rotation this month. I pulled out my phone, checking the calendar. I can do this Saturday and the next 2. Perfect. She handed me a stapled packet. Safety protocols, equipment specs, participant waivers. Read through these before Saturday. If you have questions, my number's on the cover sheet. I took the packet. Our fingers brushed. Hers warm, mine still cold from the morning air. She pulled back first. One more thing. Her voice dropped. Sterling's been trying to poach Marcus Chen, one of my best volunteer coordinators. If Marcus flips, I lose my logistics support and my most credible witness to the program's success rate. Does Marcus know Sterling's angle? Not yet, but Sterling's offering him a paid position in the sports medicine wing. Steady income versus volunteer work. She exhaled slowly. I can't compete with that. The problem was layered. Sabotage, financial pressure, interpersonal leverage, classic destabilization tactics. I'd seen similar patterns in hostile environments overseas. Attack the supply line, turn key personnel, wait for collapse. Saturday, I said. I'll be there at 0800. We'll start with baseline assessments. She nodded. Then, after a beat, Sophia's going to ask if this went well. What do you want me to tell her? That you showed up? That's more than most people do. I left the packet on the table and headed for the door, paused at the threshold. For what it's worth, I don't make promises I can't keep. If I say I'll be there, I'll be there. We'll see. The screen door clicked shut behind me. I could feel her watching through the window as I walked to my truck. The morning air smelled like pine and damp earth. My phone buzzed. Sophia, no doubt fishing for details. I ignored it. Started the engine. The cabin shrank in the rearview mirror, but the weight of Harley's last words stayed with me. We'll see. Like she'd heard that line before, like she was already counting down to disappointment. I tightened my grip on the steering wheel and pulled onto the mountain road. 4 weeks to prove safety protocols. 4 weeks to counter Sterling's sabotage. 4 weeks to show up exactly when I said I would. The job was simple. The stakes were someone else's entire program. And the woman behind it clearly expected me to fail. Saturday morning arrived with fog rolling through the valley. I parked outside the adaptive sports facility, a converted warehouse with retrofitted climbing walls, padded floor mats, and accessible equipment storage. Inside, voices echoed off concrete walls. Harley was already there, checking anchor points on the belay system. She wore a faded gray hoodie and climbing gloves, wheelchair positioned at the base of a 10-foot practice wall. You came. She didn't look surprised, exactly. More like she was confirming a hypothesis. 0800. I tapped my watch. On time. Jorge, this is Marcus Chen. She gestured to a guy in his 30s, lean build, wearing a facility staff shirt. Lead volunteer coordinator? Marcus extended his hand. His grip was friendly, but cautious. Harley mentioned you're here to observe safety protocols. Tactical medic background, I confirmed. I'll be documenting baseline procedures and participant interactions. Non-intrusive. Good. Marcus relaxed slightly. We run a tight ship, but having a medical professional verify our methods will help with the grant review. Over the next 2 hours, I watched the program in action. 6 participants, all with varying mobility challenges. Harley ran the session like a drill sergeant, firm, precise, but never condescending. She demonstrated proper harness fittings, tested anchor points, and corrected form with the kind of detail that came from lived experience. When a participant hesitated at the wall, she rolled closer. Fear's normal, but we don't climb alone. Marcus has the belay. I've got the backup line. You focus on the next handhold. The participant climbed, made it halfway up before fatigue set in. Harley called the descent, and Marcus lowered them smoothly. No panic, no injury, just controlled execution. I noted it all. Harness check intervals, communication protocols, emergency stop procedures. By the end of the session, my documentation showed a program operating above standard safety benchmarks. But I also noticed something else. Sterling was there, watching from the mezzanine level, phone in hand, taking photos. After the participants left, I approached Harley. Sterling's documenting the session. She didn't look up from coiling the belay rope. He does that every week, looking for ammunition. Has he found any? Not yet, but he's patient. She secured the rope and finally met my eyes. You sticking around for the debrief? If you want me to. We moved to a small office off the main floor. Marcus joined us, spreading paperwork across a folding table. Incident logs, equipment maintenance records, participant feedback forms. Everything checked out today, I said, reviewing my notes. Your protocols exceed AMGA standards for adaptive climbing. If Sterling tries to claim negligence, this documentation contradicts him. Marcus grinned. Told you we were solid. But Harley's expression stayed guarded. Sterling doesn't need real negligence. He just needs the appearance of risk. One bad photo, one out-of-context quote, and the grant committee gets nervous. She was right. I'd seen bureaucratic warfare before. Truth mattered less than optics. Then we need to control the narrative, I said. Proactive documentation. Time-stamped videos, third-party medical sign-off, participant testimonials, make it impossible for Sterling to spin the story. Harley leaned back in her wheelchair. That's a lot of work. I've got time. Marcus glanced between us. You're serious about this? I don't show up halfway. I met Harley's gaze. If we're doing this, we do it right. Something shifted in her expression. Not quite trust, but maybe the beginning of it. Okay, she said. Next session, we'll start building the counterfile. Videos, medical assessments, everything. Marcus stood. I'll set up the camera angles. We'll need multiple POVs to show full oversight. As he left, Harley and I sat in the quiet office. The fluorescent lights hummed overhead. You didn't have to do this, she said finally. Your sister asked me to help. I don't go back on my word. Even when the job's more complicated than advertised? Especially then. She studied me. I could see her running calculations, testing for cracks in my resolve. You know Sterling's going to push back, she said. This isn't just paperwork. He's got institutional weight, donor relationships. If he decides you're an obstacle, he'll find ways to pressure you. Let him try. Her mouth curved into something almost like a smile. You're either very confident or very stupid. Probably both. This time the smile reached her eyes. We spent the next hour reviewing her participant files, cross-referencing incident reports with medical outcomes. Every scraped knee had been treated and logged. Every equipment check had a timestamp. Sterling's claims of negligence crumbled under scrutiny. But as we worked, I noticed Harley rubbing her left temple. A small, repetitive gesture she probably didn't realize she was doing. Headache? I asked. She froze, then dropped her hand. Old habit, it's nothing. Tension or migraine? I said it's nothing. But her jaw had tightened. A tell. I didn't push, just made a mental note and returned to the files. By the time we finished, the sun had dropped below the warehouse skylights. Harley rolled toward the door, then paused. Thank you, she said. For today? Same time next week? Yeah. She hesitated. And Jorge? If you're going to keep showing up, don't do it out of pity. I've had enough of that to last a lifetime. I don't pity you. I stood, shouldering my jacket. I respect competence, and you run a clean operation. She looked at me for a long moment, then nodded. See you next week. I watched her leave through the accessible exit, the automatic door hissing shut behind her. Then I pulled out my phone and texted Sophia. First session done. Your friend's tougher than you warned me. Her reply came instantly. Good. She needs someone who won't break. I pocketed the phone and headed to my truck. The parking lot was empty except for Harley's modified van and Marcus's sedan. Through the warehouse windows, I could see the climbing walls silhouetted against the twilight. 4 more weeks until the demonstration. 4 more weeks to build an airtight case against Sterling's sabotage. And somewhere in that timeline, I'd have to figure out why Harley's guarded competence felt more real than any connection I'd had in years. Week 2. Sterling made his move. I arrived at the facility to find Marcus in the parking lot, visibly agitated. What happened? I asked. Sterling offered me a full-time position. Salaried, benefits, starts next month. Marcus ran a hand through his hair. He wants an answer by Monday. Inside, Harley was reorganizing equipment with mechanical precision. Too precise. The kind of focus that meant she was barely holding it together. You heard, I said. Marcus told me an hour ago. She didn't stop moving. He'd be stupid not to take it. Steady income beats volunteer work. Does he know Sterling's strategy? I told him. He thinks I'm being paranoid. She finally stopped, gripping the wheelchair's armrests. Maybe I am? Maybe Sterling just recognizes talent and I'm the one making it personal. Or Sterling's eliminating your support system and Marcus doesn't see the pattern. She looked at me. You believe me? I believe the evidence. Sterling's been methodical. This fits. The session started late. Only 4 participants showed. 2 had canceled last minute, citing scheduling conflicts. Harley ran the drills anyway, but the energy was off. Distracted. Halfway through, one of the participants lost their grip during a traverse. Standard slip. No injury. Marcus caught the belay perfectly. But Sterling was there again. Filming. After the session, I pulled Marcus aside. That slip was textbook recovery, I said. But Sterling's going to frame it as a safety incident. You know that, right? Marcus's expression hardened. He wouldn't. He's been documenting every minor issue for weeks. This'll be Exhibit A in his risk assessment. So what do I do? Write your own incident report, right now. Include all safety protocols that were followed, the participants' confirmation of no injury, and the fact that the belay system worked exactly as designed. Marcus hesitated, then pulled out his phone and started typing. I found Harley in the office, staring at her computer screen. Participant just emailed, she said quietly. They're withdrawing from the program. Too risky. Sterling got to them. Can't prove it. We don't need to. We need to inoculate the others. I sat across from her. Let me talk to the remaining participants. Medical assessment, one-on-one. I'll document their confidence in the program and their understanding of managed risk. They'll think you're trying to manipulate them. Then I'll be transparent. Tell them exactly why I'm asking. because Sterling's building a narrative, and their voices matter. She rubbed her temple again, longer this time. You're in pain, I said. I'm fine. Harley, she exhaled. Chronic headaches, post-injury complication, they spike under stress. Medication? I manage it. Which meant she was white-knuckling through pain because admitting weakness felt like giving Sterling ammunition. I recognized the tactic. I'd done it myself during recovery from a field injury, pushing through because stopping felt like failure. Take a break, I said. I'll handle the participant interviews. You rest. I'm not asking. I kept my voice level. You're running on fumes. If you collapse during the grant review, Sterling wins by default. She stared at me, then, slowly, nodded. 1 hour? That's it. 1 hour. She rolled toward the back office, where a small cot was tucked behind file cabinets. I gave her space, then spent the next hour talking to the remaining participants. Each conversation was the same. They trusted Harley, they felt safe in the program, and they hadn't heard Sterling's concerns until recently. I documented everything, signed statements, video recordings with consent. By the time Harley returned, I had a counter-narrative locked down. How'd it go? She asked. 4 participants, 4 testimonials, all positive. She scanned the documents, her expression shifting from skepticism to something close to hope. This might actually work, she murmured. It will work, as long as we stay ahead of Sterling. Marcus appeared in the doorway. I submitted my incident report, copied the grant committee. Harley looked up. You're staying? Yeah. He crossed his arms. Sterling's playing dirty. I don't reward that. Relief washed over her face. She tried to hide it, but I saw it. Thank you, she said. Marcus grinned. Besides, someone's got to make sure Jorge doesn't screw up the belay system. I raised an eyebrow. I'm certified in high-angle rescue. Cool. Still don't trust you with my knots. The tension broke. Harley actually laughed, a real unguarded sound, and for the first time since I'd met her, the weight in her shoulders seemed to ease. Week 4. Grant review deadline. Sterling submitted his risk assessment. 10 pages of incident reports, cost-benefit analyses, and expert opinions questioning the viability of adaptive climbing programs. Harley submitted our counterfile. 30 pages of safety documentation, medical sign-offs, participant testimonials, and video evidence of protocol compliance. The grant committee scheduled a hearing for week 6, which gave us 2 weeks to prepare. Harley worked non-stop. I found her in the facility at midnight, reviewing presentation slides. You should sleep, I said. I will, after this section. I pulled up a chair. Show me what you've got. We went through the presentation together. I flagged weak points, tightened language, added medical terminology that would resonate with the committee. By 2 a.m., we had a solid draft. Harley saved the file and finally leaned back. I keep waiting for you to bail, she said. Why would I? Because it's easier. Because this isn't your problem. Because I'm... She stopped herself. Because you're what? Difficult. Demanding. Not worth the effort. The words hung in the air. I didn't rush to contradict her. Instead, I asked a question. Who told you that? She looked away. My ex, after the accident. He said loving me had become a full-time job he didn't sign up for. He was a coward. He was honest. No. I met her eyes. Honest would have been admitting he couldn't handle his own fear. Instead, he made it about you. That's cowardice. She blinked. Something in her expression cracked. You don't know me well enough to say that. I know you run a program that changes lives. I know you fight for your participants when bureaucrats try to shut you down. I know you show up even when you're in pain." I paused. That's not difficult. That's strength. Harley's jaw tightened. She looked like she wanted to argue. Instead, she said, "I'm going to make coffee. You want some?" "Yeah." We moved to the small kitchenette. Harley filled the pot while I leaned against the counter. The facility was silent except for the hum of ventilation. "Can I ask you something?" she said. "Why'd you really agree to help?" Sophia asked, "But you could have said no." I considered the question, thought about deployment, about coming home to a world that felt hollow, about conversations that skimmed the surface and relationships that dissolved under pressure. "Because you didn't pretend," I said finally. "Most people put on a performance. You told me exactly what you needed and why. No games. And that's enough?" "It's more than most people offer." She poured 2 mugs of coffee, handed me one. Our fingers brushed again, the second time in 4 weeks. This time, neither of us pulled away immediately. "For what it's worth," she said, "you're the first person who hasn't tried to fix me. You're not broken? Tell that to everyone else." "I don't care about everyone else." She looked at me, really looked, and I saw the exact moment her walls shifted, not down but adjusted, like she was making space for something new. "Week 6, she said. "The hearing. You'll be there?" "Front row." She nodded, took a sip of coffee. Then, quietly, "I'm glad Sophia tricked you into this." "Me too." We stayed in the kitchenette until sunrise, refining the presentation and talking through contingencies. By the time the morning light filtered through the warehouse windows, we had a plan. And somewhere between the coffee and the spreadsheets, I realized I wasn't just showing up for the program anymore. I was showing up for her. Week 6. The hearing. The grant committee met in a sterile conference room downtown. Sterling arrived with a lawyer. Harley brought Marcus and me. Sterling presented first. Polished slides, calm delivery, carefully framed statistics. He made adaptive climbing sound like a lawsuit waiting to happen. Then it was Harley's turn. She rolled to the front of the room, positioned her laptop, and started the presentation. No notes, just lived experience and undeniable data. She walked them through every protocol, showed video evidence of safe operations, presented participant testimonials. And when Sterling tried to interrupt with a procedural question, she shut him down with medical terminology that left no room for doubt. I watched the committee members' faces shift. Skepticism became interest. Interest became respect. At the end, the committee chair asked one question. "Dr. Sterling claims your program lacks qualified medical oversight. How do you respond?" Harley glanced at me. I stood. "Jorge Morgan, tactical medic with wilderness trauma certification and mountain rescue background. I've observed 3 training sessions and reviewed all safety protocols. This program exceeds industry standards. Any claim of inadequate medical oversight is factually incorrect." The chair made a note. "Thank you." The committee deliberated for 20 minutes. When they returned, the verdict was unanimous. Funding approved. Program continues. Sterling left without a word. Harley sat very still, like she was afraid to believe it. Marcus clapped her shoulder. "We did it." "Yeah." Her voice was unsteady. "We did." Outside, the 3 of us stood in the parking lot. Marcus headed to his car, leaving Harley and me alone. "Thank you," she said. "For everything. You did the work. I just verified it. You showed up. That's what mattered." We stood there, afternoon sun casting long shadows across the asphalt. I thought about leaving, about going back to my apartment and the quiet routine of off-rotation life. Instead, I asked, "You want to get dinner?" She looked startled. Like a date? Like two people who just survived bureaucratic warfare and could use a meal. A smile tugged at her mouth. Okay, but I'm buying. You earned it. Deal. We went to a diner near the facility, ordered burgers and fries, talked about everything except the hearing, her physical therapy work, my deployment stories, the weird overlap between mountain rescue and adaptive sports. At some point, her hand ended up near mine on the table. Not touching. Just close. I was wrong about you, she said. How so? I thought you'd leave. Everyone does, eventually. I'm still here. I noticed. She shifted her hand. Our fingers brushed. This time she didn't pull away. And neither did I. Week 8. The adaptive climbing demonstration. The event drew a crowd. Participants, families, donors, local media. Harley had transformed the warehouse into a showcase with multiple climbing stations and real-time safety monitoring. I arrived early to help with setup. Found Harley doing last-minute equipment checks. Her face tight with concentration. Nervous? I asked. Terrified. She adjusted a carabiner. This needs to be perfect. It will be. You've prepared for every scenario. Except the ones I haven't thought of. I crouched beside her wheelchair. You've got Marcus on logistics. You've got me on medical oversight, and you've got 6 participants who trust you completely. That's enough. She met my eyes. What if it's not? Then we adapt, like we've been doing for 8 weeks. She exhaled slowly, nodded. The demonstration started at 10. Participants took turns on the wall, each climb a testament to Harley's training. No falls, no panic, just controlled, confident movement. Sterling showed up halfway through, watched from the back, left without incident. By noon, the demonstration was over. Donors were writing checks, media were scheduling follow-up interviews, and Harley was surrounded by participants thanking her for changing their lives. I stayed on the periphery, documenting everything for the final grant report. When the crowd thinned, Harley found me near the equipment storage. We did it, she said. You did it. I just took notes. Don't downplay your role. She rolled closer. I couldn't have done this without you. You could have. You're stronger than you think. She shook her head. Strength isn't the same as not needing anyone. I'm still learning that. We stood in the quiet warehouse, surrounded by climbing walls and coiled ropes. The afternoon light slanted through the skylights, turning everything golden. Can I ask you something? She said. Always. Us. Is it just about the program, or is it something else? I'd been asking myself the same question for weeks, trying to separate professional obligation from personal connection. But the truth was simpler than I'd wanted to admit. It's something else, I said. What does that mean? It means I show up because I want to. Not because your sister asked. Not because the program needs me. Because you matter. Her breath caught. Jorge, you don't have to respond. I just needed you to know. She looked down at her hands, then back at me. I was married once, she said quietly. Before the accident. He left 6 months after rehab. Said he couldn't handle the long-term reality. She paused. I told myself I'd never let anyone close enough to leave again. I'm not him. I know. That's what scares me. I knelt beside her wheelchair, eye level. I don't make promises lightly, but I'm making one now. I'm not going anywhere. People always say that. I'm not people. She studied my face, looking for cracks. For the moment I'd flinch or hedge or reveal the escape route. I didn't move. Finally, she reached for my hand, held it. Okay, she whispered. Okay. We stayed like that, her hand in mine, the warehouse quiet around us, until Marcus appeared with post-event paperwork. "Sorry to interrupt," he said, grinning, "but we've got donor forms that need signatures." Harley squeezed my hand once, then let go and rolled toward Marcus. I watched her work, confident and focused, exactly as she'd been the first day I met her. Except now, when she glanced back at me, there was something new in her expression. Trust. And maybe, just maybe, the beginning of something more. 3 weeks later, I showed up at her apartment unannounced. She answered the door, surprised. "What are you doing here?" "Date night. If you're interested." "You could have called. I wanted to see your face when I asked." She tried to look stern. Failed. What if I'd had plans? Then I'd have waited. She rolled back, making space. "Come in." Her apartment was small but organized, accessible design throughout. Photos on the walls, her and participants, her and Marcus, her family. "I've been thinking," she said, moving to the kitchen, "about what you said, at the warehouse. And I want to try. This, us." She pulled 2 mugs from the cabinet. "But I need you to understand. I come with complications. Medical appointments, accessibility needs, days when the pain is too much to function." "I know. And that doesn't scare you?" "The only thing that scares me is you pushing me away because you think I can't handle it." She poured coffee, handed me a mug. "I'm not easy to love," she said. "Good thing I'm not looking for easy." She smiled. A real one. The kind that made her eyes light up. "So, date night. What did you have in mind?" "Dinner. Movie. The usual." "Sounds boring." "You want adventure?" "I want normal. I haven't had normal in 3 years." "Then normal it is." We spent the evening on her couch, watching a terrible action movie and arguing about tactical accuracy. She fell asleep halfway through, her head resting against my shoulder. I stayed still. Didn't wake her. Just sat there, watching the credits roll, her hand warm in mine. And I realized something. For 8 weeks, I'd been showing up for a program, for a fight against bureaucratic sabotage. But somewhere along the way, it had stopped being about the mission. It had become about her, about mornings at the facility and midnight strategy sessions, about the way she fought for her participants and refused to let anyone diminish her worth, about the fact that she'd looked at me, really looked, and decided I was worth the risk. I pressed a kiss to her forehead. She stirred, but didn't wake. "I'm here," I whispered. "And I'm not leaving." In her sleep, she smiled. Real love isn't about grand gestures or dramatic rescues. It's about showing up, consistently, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. Harley taught me that strength doesn't mean doing everything alone. It means trusting someone enough to let them help. And I learned that love isn't about finding someone perfect. It's about finding someone real and choosing them every single day. Please like and subscribe so we can share more stories like this.